Hi guys, here is the audit paper valuation guidance for test number 1 for our exam oriented course student. Now you know well that the first test is for 25% syllabus, 3 chapters put together. We gave a question paper. Like you might have already got this question paper in the application. Those of you who enrolled in exam oriented course, this video is regarding how you should self evaluate your paper. Remember, whatever the way I'm going to value here, in the same way you should value. Like I will tell you how to put marks for your answer, how you should compare your answer sheet with the question paper, the suggested answer which we gave, and when you should allocate the marks. Strictly you have to follow, no deviation, no deviation is permitted. And remember, this is how exactly ICA values the paper. Even see, I'm giving this video on the YouTube also just because I just want to tell everybody how ICA evaluation works. It's not that easy. Valuation of papers is not a simple task. It's a very complex task. Just to watch this video till the end, you will understand how tough the ICA values the paper, how strictly they value the paper without a deviation. Now let's begin. By the way, if at all any of you are CA final student also watching, for example, you can watch this because the same pattern is what followed even for CA final audit. Then, sir, what about other subjects? For all other subjects, income tax, GST, accounts, costing, FM, first test paper related valuation guidance we will give you on the YouTube so that everybody will understand how valuation will happen. Whereas test number 2, 3, 4. Okay, 3 cumulative tests will be there, right? 3 more cumulative tests will be there, right? They will not be uploaded on the YouTube. They will only be there in the application. Like those who enroll into the course, for them only those 3 test papers are visible. Those 3 suggested answers and videos also will be visible. Whereas this first question paper and answer sheet, as well as this scheme of valuation guidance, I am making it public on the YouTube. That's it. Now let's begin. I hope every one of you, all our exam oriented course student, pro and smart students, I hope you really wrote well the exam. Make your papers ready in your hand. Just follow along with me. I am telling you here how to put marks for you. For test 2, test 3, test 4 also I will give a similar video. I am going to tell you how to put marks for yourself. Blindly follow me. In this video, if I say you have to put a mark, in this video, whatever I'm going to tell, when you should put a mark, if you satisfy that condition, then only put mark for you. Otherwise, you should not put a mark. And then you will understand what exactly your score. Now, nature, objective and scope of audit. First question we gave it from NOS audit. 3 marks question we gave actually. Now here in this 3 marks question, you see there are 2 sub questions which are involved. It's actually 3 marks question. So they are in manufacturing business. They were asked to report on financials which is prepared on historical basis. And what is the characteristics of an engagement which involves sufficient appropriate evidence on which limited conclusions can be drawn. Okay, identify the type of engagement. Very simple. What is the type of engagement? You see here. So the procedure, gathering sufficient appropriate, limited conclusions can be drawn. You see this one have half mark, and it is a limited assurance engagement like review. Even this one also like review. If you wrote limited, as given above, the engagement which involves sufficient appropriate evidence on which limited conclusions can be drawn up, it is a limited assurance engagement. For this, whatever I've highlighted here, red color, for these 2 put together half mark. Limited assurance engagement like review, for entire that half mark. Suppose if this limited assurance engagement like review, or it's a review engagement, any of these 2 words must be there in your answer sheet. In your answer sheet, first sentence, as given above, the engagement involves gathering of evidence on the basis of which limited assurance can be drawn. For this, half mark. Limited assurance engagement means review, or it is a review engagement. Any of this you must have wrote. Then only half mark. Further, there is another question. Which are the other 2 features? What are the 2 features of such engagement? First part of the question we answered. Totally 1 mark. First part of the question is 1 mark. Now the second part of the question has 2 marks weightage. 2 characteristics they are asking, right? For every 1 feature or 1 characteristic, 1 mark. Now in a limited review engagement, in a review engagement, where we provide lower level of assurance than reasonable, for that 1 mark you need to allocate. Where we perform few procedures, okay, than a reasonable assurance. 1, lower level of assurance, that is 1 feature. 2, which involve only few procedures compared to audit. So this is having 1 mark. Now how you should put marking for you? The procedures where limited conclusions will be drawn, introduction, half mark. That's a limited assurance engagement like review, or it's a review engagement, which is a limited assurance engagement. For that half mark. Other two features, lower level of assurance than reasonable assurance, performs few procedures than a reasonable assurance. For that 1 mark. Totally 3 marks is allocated like this. Many students think auditing, it's a theory paper, nobody can score full. This is how you might have thought. ICA also will not put full marks. Why they will not put full marks? Right now you wrote the answer, right? Do you have all these points? Do you have at least whatever highlighted? At least whatever highlighted in red box and green box. Rest of the point, leave it. Whatever I highlighted in red box and green box, is it there in your answer sheet? If so, only then put the marks as I told. Otherwise, you will not get mark. For example, lower level of assurance and reasonable. You didn't write this. 1 mark you will not get. You might have wrote some 2-3 other points. Performs few procedures. You didn't write this point. Fewer procedures. You didn't mention this point. 1 mark you will not get. That's it. No matter even if you write full page. See, this hardly 4 lines answer. Only if you write these lines, you will get marks. Especially these wordings must be there. Simple. You know, they're asking question what? Okay. Where auditor has to provide assurance. Okay. The characteristics is that it involves gathering sufficient based on which limited conclusions will be drawn. So here auditor is performing some procedures where he will gather sufficient appropriate evidences to gather limited conclusion. What is that engagement? It is a limited assurance engagement like review. So this answer you need to give entirely. So totally for that 1 mark. 2 features. One feature is there in a review engagement, in a limited assurance engagement, the assurance level is lower than reasonable. That's 1 mark. In a limited assurance engagement, we perform few procedures compared to reasonable. That is another feature. Totally 3 marks. Introduction and conclusion, 2 other features, 1 mark. Totally 3 marks. If these 3, any of the point is missing, naturally you will lose that mark. Because in exam, no, in ultimate ICA final exam, no, scheme of valuation, paper valuationer will follow a similar guidelines. You know, ICA will give the same way, but in a printed format. If this word is there, half mark. If this word is there, half mark. If this is there, 1 mark. If this is there, 1 mark. If any of this is missing, strict valuation. For those of you who want to know how exactly ICA values, I already made a detailed video on ICA valuation. Just to type on the YouTube caramharsha ICA valuation. You will find latest video. Watch that, you will understand how ICA exactly value theory papers like audit. That's it. Now, second question. The auditor carries out his work by obtaining audit evidence through performance of audit procedure. Correct. However, there are practical and legal limitations on the auditor's ability to obtain evidence. Yes, this is something related to inherent limitations. Give one example each. See, the question is for 2 marks. So, one example each. For practical, 1 example, legal, 1 example. So, 1 mark for practical limitation example. Another mark is given for legal limitation example. Now, example of practical limitation. You see, whatever I have highlighted, underlined point here, that's a keyword. Auditor does not test all the transaction. He will do testing through samples. It is an example of practical limitation. Now here two keywords are there. He will not test all transaction. Half mark if you write this wording. Testing samples. Okay, that is another half mark. Totally 1 mark. No matter whatever other answer you wrote, it doesn't bother me. Remember, in the scheme of valuation, paper valuationer, remember, he will value as per ICA scheme of valuation suggested answer, where ICA specifically tell him to check those wordings. If these wordings are not there, you will not get. Now, alternative, some students write like this. Auditor will do audit based on sampling. Okay, like this some students will write, which is similar to this. Yes or no? He may not verify 100%. You are writing like this in your own language. At that time, maybe as per scheme of valuation, discretion may be provided to the valuationer. We don't know exactly whether ICA will provide discretion or not, because as per my knowledge, 80% of the paper valuation, 80% of the scheme of valuation, no discretion is given. ICA itself is giving. If these wordings are there, if this sentence is there, if this point is there, then only put mark. If some other point student wrote, no marks. Strictly follow, please. So half mark. Okay, and he will test through samples. For that, another half mark. 1 mark for practical limitation. 1 mark for practical limitation. Then legal limitation. Example of legal limitation. Management may not provide complete information. For that, half mark. In case he is not provided with required information, he can only report. What is the consequence of not providing complete information? That is half mark. This is an example of legal limitation. So 1. Legal limitation example they wrote, management will not provide complete information, for that half mark. Auditor cannot force management, auditor cannot force, that's what continuation of that point. Management may not provide complete information, auditor cannot force the management, that entire put together half mark. In that main keyword is management may not provide complete information. Finally, if management is not providing required information, you can only report. That's a consequence of the limitation, for that half mark. So totally for this entire example 1 mark. If your answer sheet contains these keywords, then only allocate marks. If you do not understand, once again repeat the video, you will understand how to value. Next, third question, ethics. By the way, this test number 1 is based on 3 chapters: nature, objective and scope of audit, ethics and terms of engagement. Inside that, quality control is that we are not covering here. Quality control is tested as part of last test. Third one, audit report, full audit report, which includes 570 going concern discussion, CARO, all that. Next, ethics related question here. Okay, so what happened here? The company provided the auditor, including team members, free holiday for a week every year. So the company is giving team members free holiday every year, and free airplane tickets are also prepared, given to the team. Discuss why chartered accountant is not acting ethically. This is one question. How are familiarity threat created in this situation? So they gave one situation. How auditor is not acting ethically means fundamental principle which is violated, they're asking. Third one, how this created a threat, familiarity threat is how it is created. So there are totally 2 main questions are involved, 3 marks totally. How auditor is not acting ethically, this you need to answer clearly. How are the familiarity threat is created in this situation? By using this case study, you should write the answer totally for 3 marks. See how I have divided the answer. This is how marking will be given to you in the ICA exam also. The same way you need to value your paper. First, the firm is providing free hospitality to team members, right? Yes or no? Including partner. In this case, no, fundamental principles of professional ethics is violated. All the fundamental principles are violated. Such acts are impairing objectivity. You see here, providing free hospitality, fundamental principles are violated, impairing objectivity. Impairing objectivity is there, right? For this half mark. Fundamental principles are violated, right? For this half mark, totally 1 mark. Or sometimes if this point is there, objectivity of the auditor is violated indirectly. If this point alone, this itself might be given 1 mark. Anyway, it can happen. Okay. Second, the given situation signifies that auditor has formed relationship with the client where they may end up being too sympathetic. You know, like auditor is giving too many gifts, all that, no, hospitality, privilege treatment. Because of that, auditor will develop some sort of sympathy to the client. Ayo, like client, he's giving me so much, like that, some sympathy. Due to free hospitality, they may take sympathetic view to the issues in the audit. In this way, familiarity threat is created. Okay, so you see, in the given question signifies that auditor has formed relationship with the client. For that, 1, analysis. 2, they may be sympathetic to the issues. See, like why it is created, what is its impact. Sympathy, because of the sympathy, what will happen in audit? If any some severe issue is there, we may not point out because he's doing me so many favors. Impact we are writing, for that 1 mark. Therefore, familiarity threat is created. So that's it. You see, whatever the words, whatever the keywords I'm highlighting here, red lines, you see here, red lines, only if those red lines matter is there in your book, 1 mark. Only if this green lines matter is there, only 1 mark. Only if this blue line matter is there, only 1 mark. Otherwise, you will not get that. Some students will write simply here, auditor is enjoying some free gifts and all from the client. So auditor has formed some familiarity with the third party. This is familiarity threat is created. Simple like this, they'll write. 1 or 2 marks you will get for this answer. You will not get 3 out of 3. 3 out of 3 when you will get which fundamental principle is violated, you should mention specifically that. And then you should mention how familiarity threat arises and how it impacted the audit. And then you need to conclude it. So then only you will get marks for this. Clear, all of you? Next. Then 4th question, which is actually 5 marks question. You see how 5 marks are allocated. How 5 marks are allocated. 2 marks for the provision, 1 mark for certain analysis, 1.5 mark for conclusion, another half mark for another conclusion. There are 2 conclusions in this question. So that is how marks need to be allocated. 2 plus 1 plus 1.5 plus half, totally 5 marks. Only if all these parts of the answer is there in your book, then only you will get 5 out of 5. By the way, you need not write entire this answer as it is. I told, right, underlined answers if it is there, enough. Now here what is happening? Auditor is insisting upon getting an agreement of the management. Management has to agree regarding acknowledgement of responsibility to ensure financials are free from MMS. However, management is of the view that it is auditor duty to identify all the mistakes in the financials. Whose view is proper? One question. Also discuss reasons for arriving. So what is the reason? Like whose view is correct, right? For that you need to give analysis. So they are asking analysis. What should be the course of action? Like what CA has to do if the management is rejecting? So 3 questions indirectly they are asking. So first you should write provision, then you should write analysis, then you should write conclusion. Now, SCA 210, no, it deals with audit responsibility regarding terms of engagement. Okay. For this entire introduction, this includes establishing that certain preconditions are present. Like auditor has to ensure that preconditions are present. 210 standard heading you need to write. Establishing certain preconditions are present. If keywords like this, only these 2. If these 3 are there, standard heading, preconditions present, 1 mark. You can directly allocate 1 mark if these 3 were there. The objective of the auditor is to accept only when auditor has agreed with the following. What are they? Establishing whether preconditions are present, half mark. Confirming that there is a common understanding. So preconditions, they should be present, and there must be common understanding between the auditor and management or those charged with the governance, as the case may be. So for that, half mark. So preconditions are present, common understanding, and SA 210 reference. If these 3 points are there, totally 1 mark, half mark, totally 2 marks. This is provision. Further, one of the precondition is what? Agreement. Management has to agree for what? They need to acknowledge and understand its responsibility for preparation of financial statements and internal control. One of the precondition is agreement of management regarding what? Responsibility for preparation and internal control. 2 points are there: responsibility for preparation of financials and internal control. These 2 management has to agree. That is one of the preconditions. For that, 1 mark. Finally, in the given case, X is insisting upon getting agreement of the management regarding responsibility of internal control and financial statements. This is given case only, but still the given facts of the case you are once again presenting here. For that, half mark, because you need to analyze it. This is analysis, half mark. Design, implementation, maintenance of internal control is management responsibility. Okay, for that you are writing, right? Internal control, financial statements preparation, both are management responsibility. For this, half mark. If your answer contains this underlined words, see this underlined words, pause this video and see what are the underlined words. Check your answer whether these underlined words at least there. Rest of the answer what you wrote doesn't matter. Underlined points, if at all there in your particular answer sheet, straight away CAX view is proper. For that, half mark. Totally 1.5 mark for this entire analysis. Analysis and conclusion, entire analysis and conclusion, 1.5. Suppose no, if management does not provide such an agreement, like suppose if management did not give me this acknowledgement, auditor shall not accept the audit. You know, this is the consequence if management does not agree. Like whose view is correct? X only is correct. X is asking management, please give me an agreement. I mean, you need to agree for preparation of financials responsibility, internal control. Management is saying it is auditor's duty, we will not agree. So we are telling auditor is correct. Further, what we are further continuing and telling, if management does not agree to these responsibilities, auditor will not accept. What is the consequence of failure of the management? That also you need to write. Many students will not write this. Many students will not write this. Half mark they may lose. Sometimes no. Here 1 mark will be there. Here 1 mark might be given. Sometimes in scheme of valuation, be careful. So that is the reason. Now you are able to understand why you are unable to score full on the audit, because the question is asked. The question asked itself contains so many sub questions, whereas you are giving answer to only 1 or 2. That's why you're ending up scoring 1 or 2 marks, even though you're writing full page answer, because the keywords are not present in your key sentences are not present. The theme is not present. This is how valuation will be done for CA final audit or CA inter audit. Audit paper valuation will be done like this only. Theory paper valuation will be done like this only. I hope you're able to understand. Next, finally, next, we have still 5 more questions here. Only 4 questions covered. 5 more questions were there. Then there is another question which we gave on audit report chapter, 2 marks question. 4 crore for meeting working capital requirement loan has been obtained by the company. 1 crore is used for some plant and machinery purchase. A working capital loan is used for some other purpose. The purpose for which loan was borrowed is used for some other purpose. Now what is the question? Is there any reporting obligations under CARO? Straight question. Clause number 9. Defaults related point is there inside that subclause D. Whether funds raised on short-term basis were utilized for long-term provision. If you write this provision, that too in this provision, what are the keywords? Funds raised on short-term basis have been used for long-term purpose. Working capital loan is a short-term loan. Investment in effluent plant and machinery is a long-term machinery fixed asset. Therefore, that point you need to write. If yes, nature and amount has to be indicated. So, half mark, and amount and nature has to be indicated, right? For that half mark, totally 1 mark. Further, in the given case, funds have been raised for meeting short-term, that's okay. 1 crore has been used by the company for effluent treatment plant, which is long-term purpose. Hence, matter needs to be reported in accordance with requirements of clause number 9. So, for this half mark, totally 1 mark. That's it. This is how you need to allocate here. I hope you are valuing the paper. Kindly give me a comment below if at all you are valuing correctly. Just whoever wrote the exam and whoever is valuing like this, and how many marks you got, just to put a comment here. I'll be happy to see you. And I hope this video helped you and opened your eyes on how exactly I say value the paper. Next. Now you understand why we did not give valuation service, because valuation takes a lot of time for us. It's not that easy. Simply just like that we can't value. You see how much time it is taking to value. Next, there is another question on audit report in the test number 1, 4 marks question. By the way, test number 1 is totally for 33 marks plus 5 marks choice is given, 1 hour time. Okay, fine. Stock and debtors of the company constitute 80%. Key point of the question, they are not realizable. Oh, stock and debtors are not realizable. 80% of the total balance sheet is waste. Cashier of the company committed a fraud. Okay, both the facts are not reflected in financials. Oh, 80% of the company financial position is not reflected correctly in the financial statements. CA Taj is of the view that the impact is material and pervasive. Yeah, correct. Okay, because financials are giving a distorted, they are giving a very gambled view. Explain the reporting requirement. What? He shall express adverse opinion. So adverse opinion definition you should write. The auditor shall express adverse opinion. When the auditor obtained sufficient appropriate evidence, concludes that material misstatements are material and pervasive. So if these underlined words, mainly shall express adverse opinion, okay, concludes that misstatements are material and pervasive, if these points are clearly obtained sufficient appropriate evidence for that one, okay, let us give more. For this, half mark will be there. Adverse opinion, half mark. Conclude that misstatements, half mark. Material and pervasive, half mark. Totally 4 half marks were there. If these 4 keywords are present, you will get first 2 out of 2. First 2 you will get. Remember, this question is for 4 marks. Okay, now the question is not over. Explain the reporting requirements of CA Taj. Reporting requirement, we first gave adverse opinion definition. In the given case, what happened? We need to link, right? In the given case, stocks and debtors are 80%, which are not realizable. Further fraud has been there. Both the situations are not reflected in financials, even though they are material pervasive. Therefore, he should give the adverse opinion. We already wrote adverse opinion. We are just linking with that. So only 1 mark. Further, here fraud is there, right? It has to be reported in CARO. It also has to be reported to central government under 143 subsection 12 for that 1 mark. Only if all these points you wrote, key points, pause the video and see whether these key points are there, underlined points or key points, only then you will get 2 plus 1 plus 1, 4. Then only you will get 4 out of 4 marks. Clear? Next. Another question on audit report. Look at the question. When auditor disclaims an opinion, shall amend the description of auditor responsibilities. Okay, in audit report, no auditor responsibility section is there. That section has to be amended when auditor gave a disclaimer opinion. You know what? In Jan 2025 exam, when auditor gave a disclaimer of opinion, basis for disclaimer of opinion section has to be amended in certain way. That question was asked. This is a different question. Auditor responsibility section has to be amended. See how in-depth the paper. I already told this. This in-depth is what question paper will be tested. I already told in the class. Now you see, when auditor is giving disclaimer opinion, auditor responsibility section will have 3 points. What? First point, auditor responsibility is to conduct audit in accordance with standard. Responsibility in accordance with standards. If you write these 2, 1 mark you will get straight away. And a statement that because of the matter and basis for disclaimer of opinion, because of the matter, we are not able to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence. For this 1 mark, for this 1 mark. because of matter, for this 1 mark, for this 1 mark, totally 2 marks. Finally, auditor has to give a statement about independence and other ethical responsibilities, for that 1 mark. So in audit responsibilities, you need to clearly tell that you need to do audit as per standards. Because of disclaimer of opinion section, basis for disclaimer, we are unable to obtain sufficient appropriate. This statement you need to write. 3 statements you need to write. 2 statements will have 1 mark weightage. One of the statement will have 2 marks weightage. That's it. So that's how the 4 marks were given. I hope now you're able to understand how in-depth the paper valuation will be. CA final audit or CA inter audit. CA inter audit especially. Okay. So don't be in false hope, like false belief. Hey, auditing paper, this is how valuation will be done. How strict the valuation will be done. Valuation is standardized now. Paper valuationer need not know the subject. He will see the scheme of valuation, that underlined point there in your answer sheet. If there, they will put the mark. Otherwise, they will not put the mark. Simple. As simple as such. Sir, I wrote 2 pages answer, sir. Doesn't matter. Audit report, another question, 5 marks question. The auditor completed the audit. He is in the process of forming opinion, and he want to conclude whether financial statements are as a whole free from misstatements. Guide him about factors he should consider. 5 marks question. What factors he should consider while forming an opinion? What factors he should consider while forming an opinion? You see, totally 5 marks question. You see, 5 points, 5 marks. In order to form opinion, whether auditor has obtained reasonable assurance, whether due to fraud or not, whether the financials are free from MMS, whether due to fraud. Introduction, 1 mark. The auditor shall take into account the following: whether sufficient appropriate evidence has been obtained, one of the factor, 1 mark. Uncorrected misstatements are the material, 1 mark. Whether financial statements are in accordance with applicable financial reporting framework, 1 mark. Qualitative aspects, evaluation include consideration of qualitative aspects of entities accounting practices, including indicators of possible bias, 1 mark. So totally intro, 1 mark. What are the factors? Totally 4 factors were there, 1 mark each. If any of this point is missing in your answer, you will not get a mark. So totally, 5 out of 5. How you are getting, you understood, right? Next, last question, 9th one. In this 9th question, you have a choice. Okay, 2 questions were there. This is another question. This is 1 question. Now look at this question. Elucidate, explain circumstances when a modification to the auditor's opinion is required. Okay, when auditor opinion will be modified. 2 circumstances are there, 2 marks. What are the factors for making decision regarding which type of modified opinion? We have 3 types of modified opinion, right? Qualified, adverse, disclaimer. Which type of modified opinion is appropriate? For that, factors are there. That has 3 marks weightage. Totally 5 marks. First, circumstance. 2 circumstances will give modified opinion. 1, when you are concluding based on evidence, financials are not free from MMS. Based on evidence, you concluded financials are not free from MMS. 3 keywords, 1 mark. Or you are unable to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence, directly 1 mark. If this keyword is there, 1 mark. Next, decision regarding which type, second part of the question, which has 3 marks weightage. Okay, which type of modified opinion depends upon the following factors, 2 factors. Nature of the matter. Nature of the matter, for this half mark. Nature of the matter, that wording itself will have half mark. And next, whether financial statements are materially misstated, half mark. Or inability to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence, 1 mark. Okay, so half, or it can be like this: 1 mark, nature of the matter. Nature of the matter is 2 types. Okay, whether financials are materially misstated, that is half, 1 point. This is also half. Whether, see, nature of the matter, 1 mark. Which nature of matter? 2 types are there. Financials are materially misstated, or another nature of the matter is we are unable to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence, half of mark. Totally for the first factor, which consists of 2 subfactors, totally 1 mark, 2 marks for that. 2 marks for that. Nature of the matter, 1 mark. Whether financials are materially misstated, half mark. Inability to obtain evidence, half mark. Totally 2 marks for that A point. Then judgment about pervasiveness. Pervasiveness, half mark. Effect or possible effect words, half mark. Sometimes only pervasiveness itself, if you write full, 1 mark might be given. Okay, do one thing. If you are able to write pervasiveness word itself, put 1 mark for you. No problem. This much breakup is not required. I hope you are clear. Alternative choice question is this. Another choice question. Properties obtained during the year through barter deals. The company has bought some properties through barter. considered in books of accounts on the basis of possession letter only. Oh, title deeds not there, only possession letter they considered in PPE. Okay, they have included in PPE. Considering this matter of such importance, a company just showed PPE properties in PPE register based on possession letter, not based on title deeds. Such an important factor that is fundamental to users understanding. Considering the matter of such importance which is fundamental to users understanding, nothing but emphasis of matter paragraph definition. Emphasis of matter paragraph is a para that refers to a matter that is appropriately presented or disclosed in the financial statements, which in auditor's understanding was of so important for user understanding of the financials. Same matter as it is there in emphasis. P has decided to communicate the same in his report. Yeah, he can communicate. He is asking your guidance how to communicate. He want to communicate this issue in audit report. How to communicate? One option, emphasis of matter paragraph. Exact correct answer is emphasis of matter. Another answer is in we have a caro answer also. We have caro answer also possible here. Reporting in caro, because here property were purchased based on possession letter, means title deeds are not yet in the name of the company. When property, immovable property title deeds are not in the name of the company, the auditor has to give in caro paragraph, yes or no, clause number 1, yes or no, inside that subclause C, auditor has to give these points. Any of this you can write. For example, if a student got caro in his mind, this is the answer you need to write. Okay, first you need to write, you need to mention that caro point. When title deeds of immovable properties disclosed in the financials are in the name of the company, main provision. Yeah, are they in the name of the company, title deeds, 1 mark. If not, description of the property, half mark. Gross carrying value, half mark. Held in whose name, half mark. Is it a promoter, director, relative, half mark. Period held, half mark. Reason why it is not held, half mark. So if you write all these points only, you'll get 3 marks. Intro, 1 mark, caro intro. 3 marks for this entire description. That too, breakup is given, which one will have half mark. And reason also you should clearly mention. Properties obtained through barter deals, they are based on possession letters only. Title deeds are not yet transferred in the name of the company. You should mention that reason clearly. For writing the reason clearly, 1 mark. So this is how 5 marks are allocated. If the student think caro is the right answer. Some students know, they understand emphasis of matter paragraph definition. The moment you read this, fundamental to users understanding, the moment I see this, the answer is emphasis. Between these two, which is more accurate, means emphasis is only more accurate answer. Emphasis is only more accurate answer. But here reporting will apply even in caro. Actually, if it is me, I will say both. I will say report in emphasis as well as in caro, both part of single answer. That's how I tell. Emphasis of matter 3 marks weightage. Caro 2 marks weightage I will give. Actually, if at all I set this paper, or 3 plus 3 6 marks weightage I will give. Next, alternative 1. Write emphasis of matter paragraph definition, 1 mark. Conditions for emphasis of matter paragraph, 2 conditions. You should not be modifying opinion on that matter, and that matter is not a key audit matter. For each condition, 1 mark. Total definition 1 mark. For 2 conditions, 1 mark. And in the given case, there is a need to add emphasis of matter paragraph because books of accounts contains property details which are not registered in the name of the company. Analysis 1 mark. And they are asking guidance in reporting, right? Drafting. How you should draft emphasis of matter paragraph. Draft para, emphasis of matter. This is a Jan 25 question actually. Jan 25 question, I guess. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Emphasis of matter paragraph, how you will draft. Effect of properties obtained through barter deals. We draw attention, actually from here. This is heading. Emphasis of matter paragraph heading. From here only actual drafting starts. We draw attention to note number, which describes effect of properties obtained through barter. Our opinion is not modified. This presentation requirement half mark, and for drafting half mark, totally 1 mark. That's it. So you should write emphasis definition, when it can be used, how that is applied in this case, and how to draft it. So totally 5 marks will be allocated like this. 3, 1 plus 1, totally 5 marks. Now once again watch the video. If at all anywhere you have a confusion, I clearly told how you should allocate marks in your own answer sheet. You don't have any judgment here. Blindly follow with this. If these keywords and sentences are matching, that's it. Rest of the answer what you wrote doesn't matter. Only if these key sentences are present in your answer, even if you write some other irrelevant answer, nobody bothers. Is this relevant matter there in your answer or not? If it is there, allocate marks for yourself. That's it. So this is how you need to do valuation, and this is the same way how ICA also values. That's it. Remember, today valuation is very fair, very clear. SOPs are there like this. Paper valuations will be given scheme of valuation, where answer will be given, which part of the answer will have how many marks, half mark for which point, half mark for which point, 1 mark for which point, like this they will tell. Just like how I showed you, same scheme of valuation will be there for the valuation. Valuationer don't have any discretion. 80% of the paper, 100 out of 100, 80 marks, I mean 30 marks is MCQ. Out of 70, 55 to 60 marks of the, out of 70 descriptive, 55 to 60 marks, he don't have any discretion. He just have to blindly follow ICA guidance, and they need to put marks. If your answer sheet contain that underlined points as per the scheme of valuation, then only you will get marks. Nothing but this is how ICA will value. I hope you have understood thoroughly how the ICA will value audit paper. So all our exam oriented students, whoever is writing test series, exactly you should value your paper like this. Now tell me, how much time it took for you to value this entire, okay, since the video is length is 35 minutes, you also might have spent 30 to 40 minutes for value. Otherwise 15 minutes valuation. Otherwise 15 minutes is what it takes for you to value. Just 30 marks paper, 33 marks paper, 1 hour exam, 15 to 20 minutes it took. 100 marks paper will take 40 minutes, half an hour to 40 minutes to value. Able to understand? So if at all we have to give valuation service, we need to first train our valuationers to understand this, and we need to pay good amount to them. If I have to pay very good amount to them, I need to collect from you so much of fees. This is how exactly valuation works. That's it. I hope you make use of this, and accordingly when you're revising, observe. When you're reading a question, when you're reading a concept, see how many points are there, how many sub points were there, how many concepts were covered, how it is explained. When you're reading question bank also, read in the same way. That only when you observe, you absorb. Your observation decides your absorption skills. The better you observe, the better you absorb. That's it. Okay, all the very best. Test number 2, I will give directly video. Test number 2, test number 3, test number 4, question paper, suggest answers, and the similar video will be there in the app itself. So those of you who are writing, please don't directly open the paper and write. First finish watching classes. Do revision as per a revision schedule. Then go and write test number 2, test number 3, test number 4 as per the timelines. I sincerely request you. That's it. All the very best.